Yeah. Okay. So about EduSpots. So EduSpots connects, trains, and equip 300 local catalysts, and also catalysts coordinate EduLate, EcoSTEM, Ignite Equity, educates, and clubs. We also have collaborative community-led approach. We have collaborative community-led approach with 50 community-led sports across Ghana and Kenya. We also have quality learning opportunities for over 10,000 children. Now about our Ignite Talks. So what we are doing today. So EduSpots Ignite Talk help us empower our volunteers, staff members, and wider stakeholders who work with young learners in our communities in Ghana and Kenya. So these talks are free for everyone to attend and take place on Zoom. This is Zoom, and they hold once every month. So now it's time to meet our amazing guest speakers. Please, if Deborah and Kwame are on the call, can they turn on their video so I see their faces before I do this introduction? Can they say hi so that I know that they're on the call? I can barely see them.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
Okay, so that's Deborah. Do we have Kwame
Hello,
here?
hello. Hello, everyone.
Okay, thank you. So meet our amazing guest speakers. This is Deborah. Deborah is a passionate STEM educator with over 5 years of experience. Deborah specializes in sparking curiosity in children through creative coding. Deborah has championed initiatives to make STEM education accessible to girls, special needs students, and rural communities. Her dedication extends to mentoring children in developing crucial soft skills and ensuring every child has access to transformative STEM opportunity. So at this point, I would like you guys to give Deborah some virtual wow and virtual claps. I want to see some virtual claps in the comment section. I want you to use your digital skills at this moment to show Deborah some love. Now I'll move to our next speaker, which is Kwame. Kwame is the president of the Ghana EdTech Alliance, and Kwame is a trailblazer committed to redefining Ghana's educational landscape through technology. His vision is to position Ghana as a global leader in EdTech innovation. Now, Kwame's work focuses on using cutting-edge technologies to revolutionize learning, ensuring equitable access to education, and driving transformational change for individuals and communities. So everyone, let's give Kwame some virtual wow and claps and show Kwame some love as we move on. Yeah, so welcome once again, Kwame. Welcome to our Ignite Talk, EduSpots Ignite Talk, Kwame and Deborah, and to all our audience. Now, once again, my name is Isaac Kobe, the Literacy and Digital Skills Coordinator at EduSpots, and I'll be moderating this talk. Now, before I start, I'll start with my first question for Deborah. This talk is about AI and how it is going to shape the future of education in Ghana. When I said this on my status, I think one of my uncles reached out to me and said, "What is this AI thing you have been talking about all the time? Every day AI, AI." So Deborah, would you like to tell us what this AI thing is all about? What is AI?
Thank you very much, Isaac. So I mostly deal with children, and so I like to explain concepts of topics in a very, very simple manner. So in short, we can say AI is the intelligence of machines. So as human beings can be intelligent, and intelligence means based on the knowledge you have. For example, you know that fire burns, so you wouldn't put your hand in fire, or you wouldn't go and touch a hot object. And any other thing that you know based on experience or information. That's how when we relate to machines. So when a machine is able to perform certain tasks. It's able to think on its own and generate response based on questions that you give it. We say that this machine is intelligent. So that's how I would explain artificial intelligence.
Okay, thank you, Deborah, for that basic explanation that we can all understand and children can also understand. Kwame, would you like to add something to what Deborah just said? What is this AI thing that we focus on?
Yes. Hello, everyone. Good evening. I am super excited to be here to discuss this topic with all of you. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yes. We can hear you.
Fantastic. So, I mean, just to layer on what Deborah said, when we speak about human intelligence, right? Human intelligence essentially connotes the fact that we are able to think, we are able to reason, we are able to comprehend, we are able to solve problems, we are able to be creative, we are able to engage in decision making based on the options available to us. And I mean, to a very large extent, the human intelligence is able to, exhibit some sort of autonomy. When we speak about artificial intelligence, it's pretty much the same thing, but this time it's done by a machine. And so this is where, like Deborah touched on, is where computers or machines are able to, in a sense, simulate the way human beings learn, the way human beings comprehend and understand problems, the way machines are able to engage in problem solving, decision making, creativity, and so on and so forth. So that's what this very scary boogeyman called AI is about.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Kwame. So Kwame, I have a follow-up question for you again. I want to find out. I want to find out, what do you see as the most exciting way AI is transforming education globally, and how can Ghana adapt this innovation? Hello, Kwame. Do we still have Kwame on the call?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay. So, did you hear the question, or should I repeat?
No, I don't think I heard you. Could you repeat that question?
Yes. So my question is, what do you see as the most exciting way AI is transforming education globally, and how can Ghana adapt to these innovations? So, from your point of view, or from your perspective, yeah.
Okay, I think I got the question. So if I'm correct, did you ask about what are the exciting things happening globally in terms of AI?
Yeah, in the educational landscape.
Okay. Thank you so much. So I mean, just based off the simplistic definitions that we gave of AI, myself and Deborah, there's a buzz, really. There's an excitement about AI and what it could potentially do for all of the sectors all over the world, notwithstanding education. So one of the, if you like, the very basic example of AI in motion is Google Maps, right? I'm sure a lot of us wonder how the Maps is able to identify that there's traffic on the Makola stretch in Accra, and so if we are going and it's also able to give us an alternative route to take and so on. All of that is AI. Specifically with education, AI is really transforming, education, on a really huge level, right? There's a big conversation around, personalized learning, right? Artificial intelligence is transforming globally, the conversation around personalized learning experiences. There are so many AI tools available now. An example is a popular one that I became aware of, I think, some few months ago, is the Carnegie Learning There's also a very popular one in China called Squirrel AI, which provide tailored content, and give feedback to meet the needs of students. I was telling somebody about the fact that I don't think the buzz is much, especially for our country and our continent. That is what I say, we are last in class, right? We are last in class in terms of, not having the sort of developments that we want to see, not having the sort of skilled, capable and competent human resource that we are supposed to see. And so AI affords us the opportunity to be able to leapfrog, right, in terms of building capacity of our human resources in a way and manner that gets us to be very competitive, and not just competitive, equips us with the skills needed, especially the technical skills needed to get us to the point where we become the leaders that we have been craving for so long, right? Leaders that are going to be good stewards of the resources that we have in abundance in our country and on our continent, that is going to be leveraged on for the benefit of all of us, right? I mean, that is the core aim of education, if you ask me. And so globally, there are so many tools that are popping up. Like I mentioned, the Carnegie Learning, and then there's also the Squirrel AI. There are also, AI-driven platforms, right? Some of which I'm sure, all of us are familiar with, including Coursera. Coursera is an AI-driven platform. There's also Khan Academy. Khan Academy is a big name in the education space, right? Many of these platforms incorporate adaptive learning technology, right? That have a way of adjusting the content based on the students' pace and understanding. I'm sure as we move along, we'll touch on some of these things, because I say that AI, and all of the technology that is popping up in the education space affords Ghana and the continent the opportunity to be able to reimagine, education, right? Education that is going to be targeted at, building that, strong human resource that is going to be a benefit to all of us.
Great. Thank you so much, Kwame. So I like that you mentioned that AI would enhance and equip us with the technical skills to become the kind of leaders we aspire to be, and also help us to enhance our educational landscape. Thank you so much for that. I think I know that most of our audience are taking some notes, as I'm taking some notes as well. Yeah, so Deborah, this is for you. So as an educator, how do you envision? So I know Kwame mentioned some AI tools and all of that. And I think in recent times, some of these tools that we've become familiar with, or let's say the most popular ones, has to do with generative AI, and then specifically the large language model. So I'm talking about popular ChatGPT, and also Gemini and Cloudy and all of these people. These large language models are very popular now. Everybody's talking about ChatGPT. My question is, how do you envision this generative AI, such as ChatGPT, Copilot, and etc., fitting into a typical classroom in Ghana?
Okay, so I use ChatGPT a lot. In fact, I say ChatGPT is my friend because it makes work so easy. Like, you have to prepare a student report. The time where you have to think through and then craft a nice report for each and every student in your class is over. You still have to think too, because as a teacher, you have to observe how your students perform in class. You have to observe certain traits about your students and then include them in your report. But then with ChatGPT, you can go with a prompt and then let ChatGPT give it context, right? So this is a student, you may even mention the first name. They performed this way in this subject. Maybe they are quiet, or maybe they are outgoing. maybe they have great potential, whatever your idea about the student is or your perception about the student is, you put it in ChatGPT. That's the concept. And then you tell ChatGPT to generate a report based on that. Now, one thing about generative AI, I know very much about ChatGPT is it has memory. So if every time you produce reports, you can build on it. You do not have to now start from the beginning whenever you need to generate a report. So that's one aspect, or that's one way you can use generative AI in your classrooms. Another way is, as Kwame mentioned, you can use it to personalize lessons in the classroom. These big tech companies like the Khan Academy, and even in our own local situation, we have Tech Aid with their Sanka, using generative AI to personalize lessons on their platforms. And we have another one called Nikasemo. I don't know if you've heard about it. They're also using AI to personalize lessons on their platforms. And with this one, as a teacher, even if you do not have access to these platforms, once you put in information about the students, you can always go back and then tell them, okay, based on how the student performed, or based on this information I gave you on this student, what are some of the things that you think, or generate questions, maybe in a math question that the students can solve to strengthen their understanding in this weak area that they have, right? So that's also one way that you can use generative AI. And then one last thing I'd like to mention is lesson simulation. So before you go into a classroom, you like to prepare, you like to go through your notes, so you can use generative AI to help you prepare for such a lesson. So you can simulate a typical classroom setting. You can, you've been in a classroom setting before, so your experience, you give it to ChatGPT or whichever generative AI you want to use, and then ask it to guide you through a typical classroom setting so that you are better prepared before going into class. It will point out weak areas or blind spots to you that you are likely to miss if you do not use it. So those are the 3 areas I would mention for now. Yes.
Thank you, Deborah. So you touched on how AI or generative AI can help teachers with lesson planning, can also help them with assessment. I like your opening statement. You mentioned that ChatGPT is your friend. Which reminds me of a video I watched where the guy got a promotion as a manager, and he said, first of all, let me say thank you to my best friend ChatGPT for helping me achieve this top performance in my organization. So Kwame, I just want to find out from you, how can AI be used to address the lack of teaching resources in rural communities? So we've heard this so many times that rural communities, underserved communities do not have enough resources. They don't have books for the learners to read. They don't have access to reading materials and all of that. How can AI address this lack of resources in rural communities?
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. I mean, I like what Deborah said. The truth about technology, in its simplistic term is that it's there to make, those very mundane, repetitive tasks, as efficient and effective as much as possible, and affords us the opportunity to be able to do work that we're otherwise not able to do fast. It enables us to do it quickly, right? So to your question, the big one for me is access, right? The fact that ChatGPT and all of these other artificial intelligence tools, right, can provide students with very quick solutions and resources, right? I think I like to give context to the conversation around artificial intelligence in education, right? I think at the core, how all of the education stakeholders should be thinking about the incorporation of these technological tools, right, is that we understand our context, right? We understand that, we do not have everything in place, right? We do not have all of the infrastructure in place. We do not have all of the teachers in place to be able to take care of the teaming learners that we have. We do not have all of the resources in terms of the book. We do not have, there are major constraints, right, with countries in the global south. Now, what technology does, specifically when we are speaking about artificial intelligence, what it does is it gives us a window of opportunity, right? Just so that we are able to think about the specific outcomes that we want to get in our students, right? A big one is ensuring that learning is achieved in the classroom, right? So in these, marginalized, underserved schools, right, in the rural areas, and some even in the capital, in some of these major capital areas, right, in Accra, Kumasi, etc. Right. The question is, how can we leverage on artificial intelligence to ensure that learning is achieved, to ensure that whatever it is that we are hoping to get our learners to understand, right, to grasp the foundational learnings of whatever it is that we are teaching, right, is ensured. And the opportunity we have is, these technologies are going to expand access, right? Meaning that, so if there's a situation lacking in the classroom setting, right, where maybe there are not enough teachers, there are not enough educational resources, etc., we can lean on these artificial intelligence tools, right, to ensure that the children, if they do have access to some devices, etc., can go on there and then put in whatever topic it is that they want to understand, and then ChatGPT and all of these other artificial intelligence tools is going to give them a breakdown, right? The one other aspect that really excites me a lot is the language support, right? Artificial intelligence affords us the opportunity to be able to curate and structure our content in the local dialects of the students, right? There's been a big conversation. I have one company under the Ghana EdTech Alliance. I think it's called Aya Prep, and they deliver math, science, and I believe some other subjects in the local languages of the learners. And just based on the data that I sort of paid attention to a few weeks ago, we are seeing a huge transformation just based off the fact that students were able to learn in the language, in the dialects that they understand, right? I think a third one also for me is how these AI tools are able to assist the limited number of teachers in these marginalized areas, right? So they're able to, like Deborah said, they're able to, generate, lesson notes. They're able to generate teaching aids. They're able to summarize and even give practice questions, right? They're able to simulate the lessons in a way, to break it down in a way and manner that, affords the teacher the opportunity to be able to creatively, deliver the subjects in a way that is going to get the students to understand the concepts through and through. Yes.
Thank you so much, Kwame, for that in-depth explanation of how AI can be used to address the lack of resources in our rural community schools. Deborah, so while Kwame was talking, I just had this question. I wanted to find out from you, Deborah, what advice would you give to educators? No, okay. I think the question is teachers. So as an educator, I know that most of the educators, when you speak to teachers, and I think some teachers don't even like ChatGPT at all. When they hear the word ChatGPT, some teachers don't like it. Okay, because the truth is ChatGPT, because most teachers don't even want to use, or educators don't want to use ChatGPT. Sometimes they give the learners assignments, and then the answers look like the learner is even more intelligent than the teacher who set the question. So I want to find out from you, and teachers are worried because as students now, they feel like students are not learning anymore. So you give them the homework, they go and give to ChatGPT to answer. The student just writes the response they get. Some people write the response and write everything that ChatGPT even adds to the response. That would you like me to fine-tune this response for you? The student will even add that one to their answer to the assignment, and teachers are worried. So I want to find out from you, how will teachers set questions? Okay, how will teachers set questions that can bypass all? Okay, let me put the question well so that you get it. I want to know. So teachers are worried that students will use technology to bypass learning. So, like I explained to you, you give them the homework or the assignment, they give it directly to ChatGPT. It provides them with answer. They write what they saw over there, then they submit it to you without reading or anything. So you want to find out how would they set these questions, okay, such that it will bypass, okay, the simple analogy of just students. So it gives students the time to critically think and answer the question instead of giving it to ChatGPT to answer for them. So how will teachers do that? By setting questions that can help them bypass the simple analogy of the student just going and giving the questions to ChatGPT to answer for them, then they bring in the response to the teachers. How would they do that to help the students stop using ChatGPT for all their assignments?
Yes. So, before I answer that question, I'd like to state that educators must, to beat the children, let me put it that way, or to be ahead of the children every step of the way, you must also become acquainted with the tool, right? If you are unwilling to use it, if you are unwilling to explore how AI can help you, if you are unwilling to explore how ChatGPT can help you, how do you expect to understand it so that when a child brings assignments and responses to an assignment you gave them, you'd be able to straight away know that this is a ChatGPT response. So that's the first thing I would encourage educators to do. Learn the platform, get acquainted with it so that you are able to see it right from the beginning or from a careful observation when a ChatGPT generated response is brought to you. Now, the next thing I would like to let them know is, first, you can speak to the children, right? Motivate them, encourage them to think deeply. It may not be achieved in a day, especially if the children are used to the easier way of getting things. So it may not be achieved in a day, but with constant encouragement, with constant advice and all those things, they come to understand the benefits of thinking deeply about questions that are given them. And then also, even in our educational system, this is something that we've talked about for so long. In the universities and in the basic schools, you find that the kind of questions that are given in the examinations are like direct questions, like definitions. What is this? What is this term? Define this term. It does not cause people to think. Even without before the advent of AI, people were doing true and poor. Now it's rather easier to just go and put it in ChatGPT for it to generate the response to you. So I would say that nothing has changed much. It's just that it has become easier for people to, in quotes, true and poor. So why don't we shift from the rote learning, expecting learners to memorize terms, expecting learners to memorize definitions and all those things, to thinking critically. So let's give an example. If you want, I teach STEM, so that's what I'm going to use. For example, I teach Scratch. So instead of telling a learner, okay, what block would you need to let this user move? Instead of doing that, I'll give you a question. Okay, and even I like giving social relevance questions. So you have this problem in your school. Let's say a lot of women or a lot of girls are being engaged in teenage pregnancy. Use Scratch, develop a project that would help alleviate that problem. So this time you are going to think deeply. You cannot just go to ChatGPT and put the question there and expect you go and try it and see. You will spend more time than if you had actually sat down to think through the problem, come up with the solutions, and see the kind of codes or the blocks that will help you achieve that problem. And it is something that can be transferred into other subjects as well. So when you come to English, instead of maybe a normal comprehension that they have to find some words or find meanings of words, you can ask them, what do they think about this story? how do they apply it to their context? Have they experienced something like this before? How do they approach it? So something that causes them to think deeply about it and then answer the question from their personal point of view, rather than something that is generic on the internet they can just go and get. So that's just a few tips that I'll give to educators. There are a lot more, like there are platforms now that you can just put the answers in and then it will let you know whether it is AI generated or not. So that's also something they can explore. But that's where I would like to end for now. Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you, Deborah. So Deborah mentioned how, as educators, we need to give questions that are practical and that actually demands that the learners do a lot of critical thinking, because AI is artificial intelligence, so a machine that can do what humans can do. But trust me, AI's critical thinking level is not the same as human, because AI, we've not gotten to the era of how do I call it? There is this era which is like generative, so general generative intelligence. So that era is where AI becomes smarter than human. So those of you who watch Transformer, yes, that is the kind of era we are moving into. So AI becomes very, very intelligent and more smarter than humans. And you can all tell the kind of trouble that we are entering into, but we've not gotten there yet. So if you give critical and then practical question, it will be difficult for AI to give the kind of answer you are looking out for. And so that way, the learner will have to sit down and answer the question themselves with the support of AI, but not using AI fully. Thank you, Deborah. Sorry, let me admit some people since my work, admission is part of my work. Okay. Yeah, so Kwame, I think I have this next question is for you. Lately, I think I want to find out. So I want us to share light on hallucination. So when I say hallucination, so in the tech or in the AI world, when we mention hallucination, so this is hallucination. Example. So you see, some people, sometimes you are sitting on in front of a television, and let's say someone is talking about AI. The person says, or okay, let me not use AI. So I have this young sibling who always, when I ask him, what is a noun? So he tells me a noun is the name of a person who grows in the soil. And he says it boldly and confidently, like you can't even convince him that a noun is not a person who grows in the soil. A noun is the name of a person who grows in the soil. And he says it convincingly. And I want to find out, so in the technological world or in the AI world, AI sometimes does that a lot, and we call it hallucination. So sometimes you give AI a prompt, and it gives you the answer. So you can ask AI that what year did Ghana gain independence? AI will tell that Ghana gained independence 1960, and this and that and this and this. And he's saying it boldly, like he knows what he's talking about. So I want to find out how do we protect our learners? How do we protect our educators from this hallucination and misinformation that comes with AI? Because even with ChatGPT will warn you that ChatGPT is prone to mistake. It's everything that it's saying is not 100%. Okay, so I want to find out from you, how do we protect our learners and educators from this hallucination and misinformation that comes from AI by giving wrong answers confidently, like it knows what it's talking about?
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Before I jump in there, I just wanted to touch on something Deborah said that I think it's of utmost importance to all of us here, which is the fact that all of these tools are just, they are complements, they are assistants, right? They are not the main thing that is driving the sort of education that we want to give to our learners, right? I liken the education space as, all of the ecosystem players being like farmers, right? And the learners being the plants that we are looking to grow. So we sow the seed, and then, with the watering and all of the environmental factors, etc., and all of the extra things that we do, right, to ensure that, the beautiful corn that we are looking to grow, or the vegetable or the cocoa that we are looking to grow, they grow, beautifully, right? And bear fruits that we are going to be excited about. And so when I think about, all of these technological advances, including AI, it affords us, the opportunity to maybe do things very differently. And so I really liked what she said about ensuring that, when teachers are giving or testing, right, in the area of assessment, when they're assessing their students, be it classwork, homework, whatever it is, they have to now frame the questions in a way that gets the children to think. Right, we need Ghana and the continent is crying for critical thinkers, people who are able to think deeply about the problems that we have and then find creative ways of solving them. So definitions are now out of the window, because I can just go onto the internet, go to ChatGPT or Copilot or whatever it is, putting the definition or the whatever, and then it is just going to feed me. We have to shift, right? There has to be that paradigm shift. But now back to your question. Yes, definitely. We are not the ones who, a big conversation around these generative AI as a whole, is the fact that we're not the ones that created it. Right. And so a lot of the data sets, right, that the machine is if you like, unpacking and getting to become familiar with is pretty much information that is not ours. Right. And so a big conversation is about, where does Africa stand in ensuring that the biases that come with all of these AI platforms, right, are not things that negatively, push certain stereotypes and narratives that are going to be detrimental to us. So I like the example you gave about, wrong information. Right? It's wrong information. Whatever it is wrong information. Right? Ghana gained independence on the 6th of March 1957, not 1960. Right? And so that's what it is. So the key highlight here is the fact that we know what is correct. Right? We know what is correct. We understand the factual aspect of the data. And so one of the things, education ecosystems, system players should do to, in a sense, protect themselves from the misinformation that comes from these AI tools is to have education, right? Real education on AI literacy. There needs to be an understanding of what AI is in general, and the tools available and the data sets that have been, have been given them, right? We need to train teachers, we need to train educators, we need to train students to critically, at the back of their mind, they need to understand that, well, the information that I might be getting, may be subject must be subject to a fact check, right? At the back of our minds, because we understand that not all of the data on there is one that is sometimes related to us. It's not related to us in any way, shape, or form. Right. So that is something that all of us as ecosystem players need to pay attention to. Right. I think the next step in that is to get us to the point where we are able to collect and organize, our factual information, right, in a way and manner that we can feed it to these systems, just so that we can get to a point one day, maybe in a few years to come, or with the creation of our own tools, right, leveraging on these AI, and there are quite a number of them around, getting the facts on the ground, the real true facts that is agreed upon by all of us in the country, and then push these data sets onto the platforms, just so that when our children go onto these platforms, they know that they are getting the right information. Number two would have to do with to be able to have some sort of verification mechanisms, right? So one of them that is quite popular is factcheck.org, right? That tool is able to, so once you go on, for example, ChatGPT, and you put in some information, that information you get, you're able to put that onto this platform, factcheck.org, and then it's able to cross-verify the information to ascertain whether or not the information that the AI tool has given is correct. So things like this are things that people are supposed, like, ecosystem players are supposed to be aware of, just so we do not have the hallucination situation. The last one will have to do with, integrating, digital and AI literacy, very much into our education system, right? This with the goal really of ensuring that students are able to identify credible sources, right? And so I think I've heard of some initiatives by, this current government, to ensure that, the whole conversation around AI, digital literacy, AI literacy are things that are, will become mainstream very soon, just so that everybody is aware, right? And so we actually do take steps to ensure that either we own the tools and then feed it information that is, directly linked to us, just so that in terms of veracity and, the information being factual, it's something that, we are in control of. Right. So those are the points I'd suggest to ensure that, misinformation in terms of these AI tools are kept.
Thank you, Kwame. Kwame, I'll come back to you. You mentioned government, so I have a follow-up question for you. But before that, to the audience, please, if you have any question, please drop it in the chat box, and we'll read it, and then we'll direct it to the right person to answer. If you have any question, please do drop it in the chat box, and we will also give you some opportunity to ask questions before the session ends. Yeah, so Kwame, you mentioned government, and I have a question that has to do with government, and I'm giving it back to you. So I want to find out what role do you think government policies and partnership with educational organizations like EduSpots play in advancing AI in education in Ghana?
Thank you very much for the question. I think that, especially in our context, when it comes to education, government plays a really pivotal role. You cannot talk education without, government, right? And so it's no shock that when the current government came into power and put out the memo to all of us that there was going to be free SHS, it was news, right, for quite a while. So for me, one of the roles I think governments government policies and partnerships, right, with organizations like yours can be productive, right, in advancing the AI conversation and education, is to have broad, stakeholder conversations, right, that, will touch on topics that ensure that there's AI integration in Ghana's education policy framework, right? Whether we like it or not, artificial intelligence is here and is here to stay. And so, like I mentioned earlier in my earlier submission, right, I think that all of these tools now affords governments and all ecosystem players the opportunity to be able to ask, how can we reimagine education, right? I think one of the things that shook us was COVID. COVID really dealt us a blow, and we had to figure out how we were going to ensure that teaching and learning was taking place. The other big conversations that have to do with, what sort of students are coming out of our universities, right? Are they able to solve problems? Are they able to collaborate, right? Look at all the problems that we have. I'm sure every day we talk about the problems that we have. And so how can we reimagine education in a way and manner that affords us to ensure that we are churning out, learners, we are churning out students that are going to come out of the education pool to come and solve our problems, right? To not rely on other people and so on and so forth to solve our problems. But then how can we leverage on these tools to ensure that our education system is robust, that when a child comes out of either primary, secondary, tertiary, TVET, whatever it is, that they are equipped, right, with the skill set, with the right attitudes, with the right frame of mind to come in and then solve our problems. I mean, EduSpots is doing an amazing, is really, really doing an amazing job. And so maybe partnerships with governments, right? That would facilitate the teaching, teacher training and AI tools, provide AI resources in undeserved communities, just so, they bridge that gap, right? Between, if you like, if government decides to roll out that policy, they are able to bridge that gap between policy and implementation. And I mean, let me use this opportunity to give a big shout to EduSpots and the team. You're doing some amazing work. I think at the heart of what you do is getting teachers up to speed. And with the space that I'm in, a very big conversation has to do with how we are, equipping our teachers, because the teachers are the drivers. They are the ones that are leading, the sort of change that we want to see. And so if we are tying it to the sort of students that we want to see in about 20, 30 years, a teacher is at the heart of that. And EduSport is doing an amazing, amazing, amazing work. Yes, that's me.
Thank you, Kwame. And yeah, so yeah, I was just enjoying all of this, and I forgot, and I just look at the time like, hey, we're almost the end of this session. Yeah, so I'll move to Deborah. Deborah, you're an educator. Are you scared that AI will take over your role as an educator? Are you scared?
I'm not scared.
You are not scared?
No.
Tell us why. Why are you not scared?
So, just kindly permit me, I'd wanted to add a point or to say something about something that Kwame mentioned.
Sure.
On the question on how to curb the occurrence of hallucinations in AI. So he mentioned verification, which is really, really important. And the easiest way to actually verify is to ask ChatGPT to give you its source. So you ask ChatGPT to give you some information. Two things you can do in terms of verification. One, you can provide a checklist that this information that you are giving me should meet this kind of criteria. So, and then ask it to go through that checklist. So that's double checking its content. And it's something that is actually in generative AI, especially in the text-based generative AI. Letting it go through its content again, and then ensuring that it meets all those checklists that you've given it. And then secondly, asking it to give it its source. Asking it to give you its source, yes. So it will provide you a link, and then you can click on it to quickly go and read and then verify that the information it has given you is true. Now, that saves a lot of time, because without using AI, you would now have to go and score the internet and try to find the pieces of information that are scattered around to get your information. But now you are giving all that work to ChatGPT to provide the information for you and then give you its source, so that just with the click of a button, you are able to verify that what it is saying is true. And then on the point about the work that EduSpots is doing, I recently saw a post where I think Katz, if I mentioned the name correctly, mentioned that one student came to her, they were having a conversation, and the student was talking about the tablet that you give them, being able to go and then ask ChatGPT or generative AI questions on topics that they may not be able to understand, so that it explains to them very well in a simple manner for them to understand. And I think that's really a good way of introducing children to artificial intelligence, and then letting them know that it is not just about chewing and pouring, but then also being able to explain concepts that they may not really understand to them. So a big ups there. Now, back to the question you asked. I am not scared ChatGPT or generative AI will take my job, because my job as a teacher and as an educator involves more than churning out information. It involves thinking, it involves that human feeling. So the developers of generative AI or those who work on them can try as much as possible to add that human feeling. But I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that it can get to a place where it can behave exactly human-like. It can think on its feet. Okay, a child is not understanding a concept. What is the best way to go about it? Should I just try to explain it to them again? Should I try to understand what's their situation at that moment? Maybe they are not understanding, not because they are daft. They are not understanding maybe because of a particular situation that is going on home at that very moment that we are having the class. And it takes a human feeling to recognize that. And ChatGPT or generative AI cannot do that. And secondly, I am learning about ChatGPT. So instead of using it to replace the work that I will be doing, I am rather using it to complement and then improve my efficiency. So I mentioned about the reports. Now I wouldn't spend, if there are lots of students I have to create reports for, I wouldn't spend that much time I used to spend creating reports for each and every person. I can just use generative AI to complement that. It can create bulk comments for me based on the prompts I give them, and it's just a matter of copying and pasting and then reading to correct certain mistakes that it may be made. That's something that we should also look out for, not just copying and pasting. And that is where you would think that ChatGPT is coming to take over your job. Now, with the advent of generative AI, there are other jobs that are coming up. When there were a lot of evolutions in the future, people were actually worried that, oh, this technology is coming to take up my job. Calculators are coming to take up the jobs of people who would have like been used their minds to calculate big words and big numbers and all those things. But then you come to realize that, okay, we need people who will be creating those who will be like creating those calculators. We need and in this sense, we need people who will be educating other people about the use of AI. Now, because I have learned about AI, I can also educate other educators about how they can make use of AI in their various classrooms. And that's a workshop that I had recently with the educators in the institution I work with. So I will say that I'm not scared at all. And that's why I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly improving upon myself and then learning new ways to use it to rather complement instead of it replacing what I do.
Okay. Thank you so much, Deborah. So, my dear educators, on this call, Deborah is saying that AI is not coming to steal your job. The only people who are going to steal your job are teachers who knows more about AI. Yeah, exactly. And also I would like to mention that, so in that case, we are saying that, on that note, we are saying that teachers are no longer reservoir of knowledge. Okay, so right now you are just facilitators of learning. So you have to facilitate the learning, but you are no longer reservoir of knowledge. Yeah, so AI is not taking over your job. Teachers who know how to use AI will take over your job. That is what Madam Deborah is trying to tell her colleague teachers. So don't be scared. It's not AI. It's humans who will take over your job. But these are humans who are in the form of AI.
And sorry to interrupt, yes. But I just wanted to add one last thing. You realize that if you do not understand something, you are afraid of it. So why don't we put away that fear of AI, that fear of ChatGPT, and actually getting to know it? Why don't you learn it? Like go online. There's lots of information on generative AI, on prompting techniques. A lot of things you can learn. You can go on YouTube. You can even go on your ChatGPT to teach you about how to use it. So put away that fear. That fear it doesn't hold any water. You are giving it the strength that it has over you. So the comment I'll leave here is you fear something you do not understand. So try to understand it so that you can do away with that fear.
Thank you. Deborah says her final comment is you fear something you do not understand. Now, Kwame, briefly, for the sake of time, we have like seconds. So for the sake of time, briefly, as we embark on this journey with AI, because people say the next big thing is digital. And I said, no, it's not the next big thing. It is the now big thing because we are already in it. We are already in that era. So as we embark on that, what is your bold prediction for its role in shaping education in Ghana over the next decade? What is your bold prediction? Briefly, tell us.
Interesting. That's an interesting question. My bold prediction in an ever-evolving technological terrain. I think one of the things I can put my money on is the fact that in a few years to come, AI is going to be all over. It's going to be everywhere. Fortunately or unfortunately, it's going to take away a lot of repetitive jobs. Yeah, I think that's one of the things I can put my money on. There are going to be lots of AI tools available, right? And it's going to cut across, and even specifically in the education space, I'm sure it's going to come for some administrators' jobs, but I mean, ultimately, there's going to be wide access of AI tools. I think that's what I'll say for now.
Okay, thank you so much. So Kwame mentioned that AI is going to take over a lot of repetitive jobs, so job that doesn't require a lot of thinking. Okay, so
yes.
That is what he's trying to say. Now, I would like to give my audience the opportunity to ask any question that has been on their mind so far. For the past minute, my guest speakers have been talking. It's now time to hear from my audience. If you have any question, please unmute yourself, come off mute, and then ask your question. We have some few minutes. Anybody have a question from the audience? To any of us?
This child's from
Charles.
Kenya.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
Charles.
just a question. I think AI has been really pumped up, and is there a segment where AI can make an error, a major error in future? Because it seems like it's the only solution that is there. I'm wondering.
Did you say an error, like as in a mistake?
Yes, because it seems like it's always right.
So, just to chip in very quickly, I'm sure Deborah would also add something to it. But I mean, AI just works on data sets that it has been fed, right? If you put granules, paste in the soup, is granules that you are going to get. If you put corn in the ground, it's corn that you are going to get. It's very similar to these AI tools. So it is just based on the data sets that it has been fed, and then it's able to, if you like, reason, comprehend, and then give back the information in a way and manner that best suits the question that you asked it or the prompt that you gave it. I touched on something earlier about the data sets. So there's a big conversation around Africa, collecting, organizing its data sets in a way and manner that is going to be suitable for the tools, for the AI tools that are available, just so that we would have less situations where there's an error, quote unquote. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yep. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Deborah, I'm sure you have something to add.
Yeah. So we actually talked about AI making mistakes. That's the hallucination. So the simple answer is yes, AI makes errors, and that's why you have to learn the art of asking a question, which is called prompt engineering. It's something you can actually go online on YouTube and then learn about it. So basically, when you are I remember in my IT lessons in the basic school, we learned something called garbage in, garbage out. And that's how
Right.
AI is now. So as Kwame mentioned, if you give it garbage, it is going to produce garbage for you. And then one other thing is that if you just ask it a straightforward question that it has to think and then give you the response, that's where the issues come in. So when you are giving it a question that has to think to, you have to give it context, right? You are in an African environment, so give us a context that relates to the African environment or a context that relates to the particular information you need. Has something happened before the situation that you are in? Does it have to know, like you know it in your head, the AI doesn't know. So give it that information before you ask it your question. You can also ask it to assume the position of someone you think could be in a better position to give you the answer you need. So if I need I need information about from a psychologist, I cannot just go and ask ChatGPT the question without asking it to assume the position of maybe so and so psychologist with so and so years of experience, depending on how confident I am with that person. So that's how you can go about. So yes, AI can make errors, but then there are other ways of circumventing those errors and making sure that they are either reduced or they do not happen at all. Yeah.
Thank you. Charles, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that gives more clarity. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay. It's Charles speaking. Okay, I think I heard that. All right, so yeah, just like our guest speaker said, AI can make an error, Charles. AI makes error all the time. If you look at my interaction with AI, sometimes I talk to it like, will give me an answer, ask you, are you sure this is correct? No, check again. If you were a professor in this and this, grade this your work. AI will regrade their work and say, oh, okay, I'm sorry. See, this is what I'm supposed to do. So they make error all the time. And Deborah mentioned prompt engineering. That's what it is very important. And I mentioned that it's teachers or educators who knows how to use the AI tools who take over the roles of teachers who don't know how to use it. So it's very important that we take the time to learn more about these AI things and this revelation of AI. The first time I came across AI, I think back in 2022 or something, the first thing I did was to go to school to learn prompt engineering because I realized it was very important, garbage in, garbage out. Okay, so let's just take the time. Any opportunity we get, when there's any free call, any paid call that we can jump on and hear more about AI, let's take the opportunity to do so. You can never know so much about AI. Every other time you want to learn more. Okay. Do you have any last question? Yeah, I think someone is Kwame or Ruben. No, Ernest.
Okay. Hello, can you hear me out?
Yes, I can hear you, Ernest.
Okay. I want to just chip in this. In Deborah's, let's say, submission, you asked the question that is AI going to take her work as a facilitator? And she was very confident to say no. But you realize that once you learn the prompt, let's say engineering, you realize that it's possible in the advancement of AI, most of the AI too, they are going to think as you wish they should think to produce the result you want. So taking me into consideration, if I'm to employ someone to, let's say, be a facilitator for my case, definitely I'm going to choose AI over, let's say, a human facilitator who assumes to present this kind of human intelligence to my learners. So me, I think personally, AI is going to take our works as facilitator, though there will be a requirement of minimal human efforts in the educational grounds, but AI in the years, let's say, ahead. But so that's, let's say, something I want to add to. But my question is, why is it that in African setting, we have to, why don't you have to add the AI tools as, let's say, part of the route in, let's say, curriculum? And I think it's going to help.
Okay. Was that a
Did
question?
you get the question?
Yeah, Deborah, do you want to take it?
Yeah.
I'm saying that
Okay.
in the African setting, you see, we sometimes we take it that we are learning, we are advancing in our, let's say, our technological world, or let's say we are integrating, let's say, technology into our education system. But you realize that we're copying the old system of education. Like, as I'm speaking, we are saying that we are just implementing the content of the new curriculum. You realize that the questions which are coming in, the methodologies the teachers are using are the same old ones we are using. So I'm asking this question that why don't we integrate it fully as part of the root, let's say, courses in our curriculum?
Yeah. So I would like to say something about that. In one of your earlier questions, Isaac, you asked how government policies can shape the adoption of AI in the African or Ghanaian setting. And I think if government can come in and then endorse the use of AI, endorse as in speaking, I know they have started doing something about it, like the Director General of the GES has talked about integrating it into the curriculum. But then if it can be done at a faster rate, if we can include that in the curriculum, teaching students about artificial intelligence, and then we find that even when it is included in the curriculum, it is barely taught. And you can see it with our STEM subjects. My personal experience with going to various public schools, especially public schools, the teachers usually lack initiative. So though like a course like Scratch is in the curriculum, they do not teach it. They are waiting for maybe the head or a higher authority to come and train them and then give them the go ahead or like sort of be on them to teach it in the classroom. When if a teacher has an initiative, he can just observe that, okay, this is in the curriculum, or even if it's not in the curriculum, it's something that the student needs. So why don't I go and reskill? Why don't I go and train myself and then come and introduce it to my classroom and introduce it to my students? So I'll say that it's something that trickles from the higher level all the way to the lower level. It's not just a problem at one point. And it will take the changing of that whole system, the government coming in, the teachers coming in, the heads of the various institutions coming in, the municipal and district education directorates also coming in to help solve this problem. And the level at which the advanced world has gone, I would say that it will take a lot of efforts for the African countries to reach that kind of like speed in advancement and then even bypass it. It will take a lot of effort. So I understand what you are saying. I understand what you are saying, Ines, but then this is going to take a lot of effort and it is doable. We just have to put our minds to it.
Thank you. Yeah, okay.
I think I want to
add something.
yeah. I think, yes, to the person who asked the question, I think one of the harshest realities is that innovation always beats, policy, right? Innovation, technological advancements, they always speed up before, policy, governments, catch up. And that's one of just the realities of our world today, ever more so in Ghana and then Africa. But the truth of the matter is that one thing I like to say, on one hand, we have to admit to ourselves that this is maybe just part of our journey, right? All the fingers are not the same. And so when we see maybe the European countries, etc., racing ahead, we have our own problems. And so one of the exciting things for me is the fact that at least we are paying attention to what artificial intelligence could potentially do for an area like education. And we've started having the conversation, right? The hope and the prayer. We need people like you as well. If you're a teacher, I hope you're a teacher. I hope we can have teachers like you who are going to be vociferous, right? Make a lot of noise about the fact that we need governments to, speed up. Because, like I mentioned in my earlier submission, one of the beautiful things that technology and artificial intelligence, etc., affords us is our ability to be able to reimagine education, right? And so the thing is, how are we having those discussions in a way and manner that speeds up the process, right? Because whether we like it or not, the change with artificial intelligence and technology in general is here. Is here, so the question is, what are we doing about it, right? And this one needs all hands on deck. You are a stakeholder, right? You are an ecosystem partner, just like governments. So governments will maybe, with the amount of voices of teachers who are going to be as loud as possible, governments will possibly not drag their feet in implementing maybe an AI policy. Speaking about AI policy, we have Nigeria has rolled out an AI policy in their country. I think Egypt or Morocco, one of them. I think it's Egypt. Egypt too is also rolling one. Kenya is also far advanced in rolling out and implementing the adoption and implementation of AI into the educational system. I think South Africa as well. We need Ghana to speed up. I mean, there have been different moves to put technology into the hands of students. So the one laptop, I think it's one teacher, one laptop, and then one somebody help me, one tablet. Yes, one student, one tablet. Right? There are moves to make that happen. But I mean, by all means, let's continue to make noise as much as possible, just to an extent to force the hand of governments, just so that they can push, for the adoption and implementation of AI into our educational system.
Yes, and then to add to that, one charge I'm going to give Ernest is you can actually start forming communities wherever you are.
Yeah.
You realize
Yes.
that the talk and the noise about AI is usually concentrated in the urban areas. Most
Yes.
rural area educators have not even heard about it, and you'll be shocked. I recently encountered a few, and they haven't heard about ChatGPT. They haven't heard about generative AI. It's like they are living in their own world. So you have the privilege of encountering EduSpots. You have the privilege of hearing about AI. Why don't you form communities? Now it's easy. It's even easier to form communities. You can form a WhatsApp community. You can form a community in your local, wherever you are. Start educating other teachers or educators about what AI is. Start talking about it. Now, when that's you come up together collectively, you form your group. They also go and pass on that information to their friends, their colleagues. You see that very soon you form a large force, a large group that then the voice is louder. Then the government cannot ignore it any longer, and then they ensure that the policies come in quickly as it is needed. So that's a charge I'm going to give you. And next, I hope I got your name right on what you can do as an individual to ensure it is quickly introduced.
Thank you. Ernest, you've been given a charge, and I can't wait to see you implement it out. I would just like to end with this. So since Ernest has been given a charge, I would just like to add to it. Since I am the Digital Skills Coordinator at EduSpots, I think I have the right to add a little bit of digital to the charge.
Yes.
Yeah, so someone, I think I was speaking to somebody this week, and the person is making a lot of money on social media. I said, guy, sister, how do you do this and this so that we can also, and he said, what are you passionate about? I said, okay, maybe education digital. It was okay. Put a camera in front of you, talk about it. When you are done talking,
yes,
click on post and let it go on social media. That is how other people benefit from you. And when they start benefiting from you, you will surely make money. So, Ernest, while you are creating the community, also make sure that you use your digital devices, share what you know about AI, and post it on social media, post it on your status, and let other people benefit from it. And in the long run, you start making a lot of following, and then you start making a lot of money from AI. So thank you all, but the talk has not come to an end. Let me just close with my final. So as you can all see on our social media platforms, we are all talking about our big give, big give, big give. Yeah, so we want you to help us ignite digital equity. Okay, so how does it work? So this is a match funding. So this is a big give match funding. Double impact. Every donation you make during the campaign will be doubled, meaning twice the impact, allowing EduSpots achieve more. Okay, what will donation be used for? We aim to raise £8,000 of match funding, which will be doubled to £16,000 to purchase tablets, Wi-Fi kits, laptops, and projectors to enable 10,000 learners in underserved communities have access to digital tools. So you see all of these AI things we are talking about. If we don't have the digital devices to help our learners and our catalysts, practice this AI, this ChatGPTs we are talking about, then we are just making the noise. So EduSpots want to move a step further and make sure that we support our learners and catalysts with these devices to help them enhance their digital skills to use the AI. Okay, so far we've raised 39% so far, and your support will go a long way. Okay, so people are asking, how can I support? Somebody is saying that, hey, me, I don't even have £1. How can I even support? So you can support by sharing our posts, sharing about this. You've seen us post this on social media. You want to repost it to your timeline. You want to repost it to your feed. You want to share with your family and friends. You want to share it on your status. You want to create a post of your own that link to our post or repost our post with your own post. Then it will reach a wider audience so that we can achieve this goal together. So that's it. Is where they give much founded. Now, feedback, if you have any feedback for us or questions which we've already taken. I think time is fast spent, so I won't be taking any feedback from now. So you may also subscribe to our newsletter. This is another way of supporting our work. You may also subscribe to our newsletter. We have our contact details on the screen. And so EduSpots is on all social media platforms. EduSpots is on LinkedIn. EduSpots is on Instagram. EduSpots is on Facebook. EduSpots is on X. Okay, go and follow us. As you're holding your phone right now, go and follow EduSpots on Instagram, follow EduSpots on Facebook, follow EduSpots on LinkedIn, and follow EduSpots on X. Okay, and we have our Instagram handle here, as you can see. Same for what's the name, LinkedIn and Facebook as well. Thank you all for your time. Let me check the message. Maybe somebody. Okay, yeah. So Farida has shared the link, the donation link in the chat box. You want to share this with your family and friends to make as little as they can so that we can achieve this goal together. So thank you all for your time. It is time to show our guest speakers some love. Let's show them some love, some clap. Let's see some wow clap, some big wow clap in the chat box. Use your virtual how do we call it, emoji, virtual tools to show them some love. You can come off mute to say thank you to them for their time. I can see Gertrude using the virtual clap. Thank you all. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you, Kwame, for this insightful session. We are very grateful for your time. And this is not the end. We hope to continue preaching about AI and how it can shape the future of Ghana. Thank you all and have a wonderful evening. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yes.